Thank you for joining me. I'm really excited to have you here. And we are going to be talking tonight about like ditching your diet life on Thanksgiving. And if you're here with me, obviously you've been following me for a while, but I am Brittany. I'm the creator of Ditch the Diet Life. And I just want to give you a little background first before we get started, who I am, how I came into this position, and where we're kind of going from here. So I've actually been a health and wellness coach for 8.5 years. I started with Beachbody. I am still currently with Beachbody. I pretty much just utilize it as an opportunity to have, products, workouts, and things like that for people. My main passion now is this ditch the diet life. And I really want to help women embrace that real life living. And I have done just about every diet you can possibly think of. When I was younger, I struggled with my own eating disorders. So I've done the roller coaster, and it's just this constant cycle of dieting that we are going to talk about. But it really, I don't think it's fair to you. I don't think it's fair to other women. I don't think it's fair to me that we continue to live on this roller coaster of constantly trying to do the next diet and really losing all control of ourselves when we fall off. And then like guilt is created in shame, and it's just not a way that we should be living. So a year ago, actually almost a year ago, in January of last year, I started a certification for eating disorder intuitive therapy. So I really want to be able to help women to break emotional eating and binge eating and identify those diet triggers so that you can just be completely free of them and live this life, but finding it within yourself. Anytime I do these trainings or in my group coaching, I want to make sure that I'm not just throwing information at you. I work in a way that is how you can get back and find your own sense of self and really digging in within yourself, peeling back those layers, finding out the triggers of why you do certain things, really getting into the nitty gritty, because everything we are, inundated with outside sources, but at the same time, we also have so much within ourselves that we lose control, and food is our number one thing that we tend to fall into, and we can really use as a crutch, or we can use because it's an easy thing that we can control until we fall out of control. So my coaching is a little bit different. It's not just giving you information, giving you tools and saying, here you go at it, get your shit done. I'm sorry. I hope that if there are kids in the room, I probably at one time or another will probably curse again, just FYI. But I really want you to be able to find within yourself those places and those areas where you can make the change, because those are the things that we need to work on. So let's dive right in. And this training, of course, is set to be discussed about Thanksgiving. But a lot of this, and this is why I'm recording this so I can share it with others later, a lot of these are tools that we can use going forward in every other aspect too. But I really want you to take a deep breath and kind of, get in that mind space of, okay, Thanksgiving is 2 weeks or 2 days away, but Christmas is also however many weeks away, 5, I think. So there's a lot of parties, there's a lot of social engagements, there's a lot of places where we are going to be surrounded by food. And when we get in these places, we tend to have a fear of going to the party. Maybe you have a fear of what you're going to wear because you don't feel like you look good. You have a fear of overeating. You have various different things that create anxiety and guilt about actually going. And then we lose the enjoyment of actually being there. So I'm going to give you 5 different tips, of things that you can use this Thanksgiving or the next holiday or your parties or whatever social engagements that you find to hopefully help you kind of ditch that diet mindset and just really enjoy your holiday. So of course, grab a pen and paper and take some notes. And again, you can ask any questions at the end. I am here to help you. So number 1, I want to tell you about the diet cycle itself, because I think it's important to really be aware of that constant cycle. So I want you to think of it as a circle. And right on the top is we have start diet. So you start a diet and maybe it goes a couple weeks or even just 1 week, and maybe even Friday hits and you're like, okay, I have been eating so well. I haven't had this and I haven't had carbs and I've had 6 different veggies, all of those kind of things. But when Friday comes, for example, we'll just use that 1 week example. When Friday comes, you think that you've been doing really well, but you've been depriving yourself. So you've been depriving that's number 2 on the list, deprivation. You've been depriving yourself of the things that you love. You've been depriving yourselves of the food that you enjoy. But if you've been on this cycle for a while and you've been depriving, maybe you've seen some weight loss. So that's step number 3 in the diet cycle. You're seeing some weight loss, you're feeling really good, but you're not feeling good mentally because you're in deprivation mode. And you're like, it's okay, I'm going to keep going because I'm seeing results and things are changing and I'm doing awesome. But then all of a sudden that deprivation mode turns into cravings. Now you haven't had a glass of wine or you haven't had a cookie, for example. Let's use cookie for 3 weeks. And you're like, I just really want a cookie. And your kid comes home from their holiday party with a whole bag of cookies. And then the next step in the cycle is the binge. All of a sudden you find yourself eating and you have now eaten your kid's entire bag of cookies. Not only is that child going to be very pissed off at you the next morning, but you're feeling guilty and you're feeling shameful. Now we're on the next step. And because you're feeling guilty and you're feeling shameful, you're like, well, hell with it. I don't care. I've already blown it. I've already ruined it. I'm just going to let it go. And then the weight that you lost back in cycle, like step number 3, is now back. And now you're like, okay, great. I'm going to start my diet again. And now do you see how that just circles and it just never stops? So how I want to relate this to Thanksgiving is that you might be on it. Number 1, ask yourself. And when I have you ask yourself on these things, I want you to write it down because I want you to use these as journal prompts later. Like I said, my coaching is a lot different. I like you to identify where you're struggling the most and really have those aha moments within yourself. So ask yourself and write down, what place of the cycle am I in now? If you are right now today, what is that cycle that you're in? Because if say you're in like that weight loss cravings and that kind of middle ground right now, you're seeing results, you're feeling really good, but you're craving all those things that are coming for Thanksgiving, that is going to lead to the binge on Thursday, and then the guilt on Friday, and then the weight gain on Saturday, and then Monday comes and guess what we're doing all over again? We're starting that diet. So first I want to identify what part of that cycle that you're in. And now we're going to utilize that so we can put you into Thanksgiving without hitting that binge and crazy mode. So if you are in diet mode, Thanksgiving can trigger your brain to go into fight or flight mode. You've been restricting, you've been like constantly, thinking that I can't have these foods. And then binge mode comes on Thursday and Friday you're feeling guilt. So write down where you are and even make yourself a little mantra maybe and say, I'm okay. I release this and I'm going to use my tools to enjoy my holiday. So that's number 1, just getting through and identifying where you are in the diet cycle. Number 2, I want to talk about that fight or flight mode. And these are triggers in your brain. And a lot of times I think people, I'm going to go off on a little tangent here for a hot minute. I've written on my blog about this, and a lot of people think that they are addicted to food, and you're not addicted to food. You're addicted to an emotion or a reaction that the food is creating for you. And that's okay if it's in a positive manner, but if it's in a negative manner, you're not going to have those same feelings about it. And that's where we kind of need to retrain our brain, because all of these little triggers are things that are so deeply ingrained in our brains that we need to work on training that and taking that and working that muscle to put back into positive experiences. So the fight or flight mode when it comes to Thanksgiving is that you've been in this restrictive pattern. and you're afraid of food because you don't think that food's going to be there anymore. And I think Thanksgiving is a great example. And I posted earlier about how I was so excited for the turkey and the mashed potatoes and the green bean casserole. And what else did I say? Oh my God, the pumpkin pie. And we get in these emotion states, in these fight or flight modes, because we're like, this only happens once a year. Like, I can't have these any other time. This is the only time that grandma makes her sweet potato pie, or this is the only time. So, whatever it is. But is it really? I mean, honestly, I have mashed potatoes and gravy and stuffing, and I usually do like chicken breasts, oven baked chicken instead of turkey. But I have those all year long. That's like a winter staple, at least once every other week in our house. So it's just this, we have attached an emotion to this food because it's a holiday food, but it's not. You can literally have this food anytime you want. It's not going anywhere. You can make that food at any time in your life. You can ask grandma to make that sweet potato pie for you. I'm sure she'd be more than happy to. And it's not only available on Thanksgiving. So if you can really like make that little thing in your head click and realize, oh my gosh, I literally could make this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday if I really wanted to. It's going to stop and make you take a step back and realize that I don't need to eat it all at one time, because it's still going to be there if I ever want it. So grab your pencil. I have a couple journal prompts I want you to go through when it comes to fight or flight mode and the foods that we are attaching to that at Thanksgiving. Number one, I want you to write down, what are the foods that you're most looking forward to? Number two, why do I limit those strictly to Thanksgiving? And remember, just because I'm talking about Thanksgiving because it's in 2 days. So that is just a reference point. You can attach this to a Christmas or holiday work party. You can attach this to Christmas brunch with your family. You can attach this to Christmas Eve dinner. I want you to put yourself in the shoes. I'm simply using Thanksgiving because that's where we're at today, like in the next 2 days. So number two, why do I limit them to Thanksgiving? And number three, why do I think that they're not allowed any other time? And if you take these journal prompts and really think within yourself and dig deeply within yourself and be so freaking honest with yourself, you're going to realize like, no, I don't. Like, what I just wrote down doesn't make sense. And that is one of your aha moments. That's one of your little clicks that you can use to move forward and past the fight or flight mode. Number three is dismiss your food police. And when I say food police, this can be the people that you speak to. This could be someone at your gym. This could be someone on social media. This could be the thoughts or ideas that you have on the things that you should and shouldn't do. There's so many areas, but we're going to call them food police because they are essentially the rules that you have learned of what you can and cannot do when it comes to food. So a couple examples of things that people on social media might tell you is that you might need to do X amount of burpees for every bite of pie that you ate. I saw this a lot at Thanksgiving and it was so exhausting. Like it honestly, I'm sorry, not Thanksgiving, Halloween. It was for every piece of candy you eat, do 10 burpees. And it's like, come on, that's not doing anything. Like that is putting a correlation between that piece of candy and a punishment. Because let's be honest, I mean, if you do enjoy burpees, you can raise your hand right now. But honestly, like who actually loves burpees? I mean, it's not. So it's correlating your food with something that you ate with a punishment, which in turn makes the candy feel bad. So that's one thing. That's one way. One thing you've probably already heard. Another is the average American gains 7 to 10 pounds between the holidays. That's a shaming diet food police rule. Or how many places are going to sell a detox or a cleanse. And now, like I said, I am with Beachbody. We have detoxes and we have cleanses. And 4 years ago in my business, I probably promoted the shit out of them, especially during the holidays. And if you watched my story last night, I admitted that. I admitted that I followed the masses. I admitted that I would utilize those tools for after Thanksgiving or January for quick fixes to get rid of all the toxic foods. You don't need to detox. If your body runs properly and smoothly, the body detoxes itself. You don't ever need a detox. You don't ever need a cleanse. And you don't need somebody telling you that you were bad for what you ate, so you need to get rid of all the food. The body will get rid of it on its own. Don't you worry. Another part, oh, hang on. I'm talking fast. I apologize. I tend to talk quickly, so bear with me. I do have water here too. Maybe that would help as well. But another area of food police is your diet brain. And these are the rules that you have created in your own head because of other things that you've seen or that you've been told or that you've learned. You were not born with these rules. This goes back to intuitive eating. Like you already know how to eat intuitively because you were born that way. It's simply just a way of reworking the brain to go back to it. But your diet brain tells you, I can't eat carbs. So you skip the sweet potato pie, you skip the pumpkin pie, you skip the mashed potatoes, and like you look at your plate and it's just doesn't really look like a normal holiday plate. So then you feel bad about it. Another thing you might say or tell yourself is, okay, if I want that piece of pumpkin pie, I need to make sure that 75% of my plate is veggies. I'm not telling you to not eat vegetables. My favorite is green bean casserole. I don't know how much that like qualifies as actual veggies because I don't know how to make it, but I'm sure, I think it's like cream mushroom soup or something, right? So it's probably not that great. But I also know that yes, you want to eat vegetables because they're good for you and they give you nutrition and they have vitamins and minerals that you need. But the minute that your diet brain tells you that you need to have X amount of vegetables so that you are allowed to eat a piece of pumpkin pie is just a food police rule. And then last one, that example that I have for you is I need to save my calories for my meal. And it's so funny that this is coming up because I literally right before I went live, I saw a meme that said, mom or kids asking mom, what's for dinner? And she's like, ... you'll eat on Thursday. And that's that idea of like, okay, well, obviously mom's not cooking until Thursday, but how I've been guilty of it myself. How many times can you say that you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to eat breakfast or lunch because we have a late lunch, early dinner, and it's Thanksgiving, and I know that I want more room for it. No, you don't need to do that. That is just setting yourself up for this massive binge and overeating and starting that cycle all over again. That is restriction. Wake up in the morning, eat a nutritious meal, eat just as you normally would, move because you want to, do whatever you would normally do, and then go to your lunch. It's that's a good way. Like, don't say that you're saving yourself for Thanksgiving. You're not saving any room. You're not losing weight by doing that. You're just setting yourself up for a restrictive binge pattern. So journal practice on food police. Number one, what are the rules that you are telling yourself? Like, be super honest. What are you telling yourself? Where did you learn these? Dig in deep, try to identify every area that you feel that you've learned these rules or that you've been taught or overheard. How have these rules kept you in your diet cycle? And how can you remove them from your Thanksgiving meal? And also another, like little tidbit, because I think a lot of it can come from social media as well. So I have, hang on, I'm just gonna check this thing real quick. So a lot of the things that you're seeing, like especially like the burpees one or various different things, you can unfollow those social media. And this can happen at any point in your life. I mean, it doesn't have to be strictly about food. It doesn't have to strictly be about this week or the holidays. If there is a social media account that is making you feel badly about yourself, unfollow. If you just kind of need a break, there is like I think it's called like take a break feature on Instagram and Facebook. You can do that. You can kind of take a break. Those things won't show up in your newsfeed. When you are more mentally prepared and when you've taken care of yourself a little bit, then you can honestly like really dig in and then maybe go back. Or if it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, get off of social media altogether. Like, obviously, go on your stories and post a picture of your Thanksgiving plate, because if you don't put it on stories, it didn't happen. But we all know it, we're all eating the same things, right? But take a break, like get off of social media for the day. Go away from those places that are making you feel bad. Keep yourself away from the do X amount of burpees posts, and just simply enjoy your holiday. Whew. Quick drink. See, I'm doing good. I'm 25 minutes in and I'm almost done. Number 4, treat the day like any other day. That's just plain and simple. Go back to what I said about the food police and holding your food. Don't skip meals because you're going to eat later. That's restrictive mode. It's just asking you to be like super mega hungry when you get there. You're going to like devour the appetizers. You're going to go ham on your plate. You're going to ask for multiple pieces of pie. It's just setting yourself up. And if you wake up on Thursday, I see a lot of people doing like turkey. I don't run, so I don't pay a lot of attention to these. I don't find enjoyment in running. There's a lot of places that do like 5Ks on Thursday morning. And the idea is or an early morning workout, maybe they'll do like a cheaper class or something. And that's great. But I want you to move/exercise. I say move because I don't want you to feel like it's work. I want you to move. Like if you feel like you just want to stretch, if you feel like you want to meditate, if you feel like you want to get outside and go for a walk, any of those like moving exercise type things, do it because you want to, not because you are being told that you have to, make up for what you did or are planning to do later in the day. Number 5, mindful eating. These are some tips that, you can put to anything. And this is a step in my group coaching that I work with a lot and on a really deeper, meaningful level, one-on-one, because different people have different ways of reacting towards food. But some of the basic steps, this is for like while you're eating, this is not meant to like beforehand and really overanalyze things, but this is actually like while you're eating. Your plate is in front of you, it's on the table, you've had a couple bites of everything, you're in it. Like this is the moment that you're sitting down at the table. Number 1, ask yourself as you're eating, how does the food taste? I've talked about it on my Insta or on my IGTV before. If you don't like it, don't eat it. Okay. Maybe grandma's sweet potato pie this year is a little, wonky. Like it's like on Christmas Vacation where the old lady brought her cat with the Jell-O mold. I mean, you never know if maybe somebody forgot something. So if it doesn't taste good, don't eat it. You don't have to feel like you are going to hurt someone's feelings. Don't like it, don't eat it. So how does it taste? Ask yourself. Number 2, do I really want it, or am I just eating it because it's here? Like, are you bored? Are you picking at the dessert table before dinner has even started because it's out and it's just seeing? That's one of those hunger senses. You see it, you didn't want it right then, but you see it and you're hungry for it. Are you eating it just because you're, hanging around the appetizer plate? Are you putting something that you wouldn't normally put on your plate just because it's there and you don't want to feel bad for offending somebody? Ask yourself all those questions. Number 3, analyze your hunger scale. Think back to that fight or flight mode. Remember, the food is always going to be available to you. No matter what, it's not going anywhere. If you're feeling hungry, if you're feeling full, you're halfway through your meal and you're like, you know what? I think I'm just eating now because it's here and it's on my plate. But remember, it's not going anywhere. So you don't have to. If you're full, you can stop eating. You don't have to keep going. It's not going to just run away from you. It's not going to be gone forever. This isn't your last Thanksgiving, okay? Number 4, when you're sitting there with your plate, eat a little bit of everything as you go. I am guilty of this, one of my favorite things is the green bean casserole, obviously, as I've said. So I will go and I will like eat all of that. So I have everything, make sure everything's in a certain order on my plate. It's just, I don't know, weird. But I always go and I'll eat all of the green bean casserole first. And then I'm like, you know what? Still want more green bean casserole. And I'll get up and I'll go get more green bean casserole when maybe I've only taken a couple bites of my turkey. But if you sit and excuse me, I gotta order the water now. If you sit and take a little bit of everything that's on your plate instead of just devouring one type of food at a time, you are going to have, you can go back to that A of how does this food taste? You're getting a little bit of everything. Then you can go to C, or I'm sorry, 3, I have them as ABC. Then you can go back to 3, analyze your hunger. Am I still hungry? Sure. Okay. Keep eating. It's great. But if you ask yourself these things as you go, instead of eating all the mashed potatoes, being really super full on the mashed potatoes, realizing now you want the green bean casserole or you want the cranberry sauce, but you're full, you're just eating it because that was still something that you wanted. So eat a little bit, ask yourself, how am I feeling? If you want more, eat a little bit more of everything and kind of keep following that pattern. And last, if you want more later, because it actually, let me start this over. To keep yourself from overeating and out of that fight or flight mode, ask whoever is hosting if you can make a plate to bring it back home for later. Because then you know what, I still might want some more turkey later, and I love to put a little bit of gravy on it. That'll be a great snack later, or maybe a good lunch tomorrow. Ask if you can bring a plate home. I go to my mother-in-law's and I am like the first one done, and I'm the first one back in the kitchen making a plate because I know that all of my sister-in-laws, is it sisters-in-law or sister-in-laws? I don't know. All of them are going to like rampage the kitchen and take all the leftovers and take it back to Wisconsin with them. So I get in there, make my own plate. Like, family, if you want your plate, you make your own. But I make one so that I know, because that is kind of our last Thanksgiving. And then I can take that home and I can have it again tomorrow if I want it. And that's okay too. It's not going to offend anybody. Like, they're going to be happier that they don't have as many leftovers, I promise. So those are 5 tips. Oh gosh, I flew through those in 30 minutes. Oh, I can be good sometimes. I'm going to bounce back and reiterate them. But number one, diet cycle. Address which cycle that you are in and practice keeping yourself out of deprivation mode so you don't hit binge mode on Thursday. Number 2, let's retrain our brain by prepping now of fight or flight mode by asking yourself, what are the foods that I'm most looking forward to? Why am I limiting them to Thanksgiving? And why do I think they're not allowed any other time? Number 3, dismiss your food police. What are the rules that you tell yourself? Where did you learn these things? How are these rules keeping you in diet cycle? And how can you remove them from your Thanksgiving meals? Number 4, treat it like any other day. You can have these foods any other time you want. Wake up, do all the same things that you normally would do. Eat the foods, eat whatever, work out, exercise, move, however you would normally do. And number 5, while you're eating, practice mindful eating. Ask yourself, how does it taste? Am I eating it because I'm hungry or because it's there? Analyze your hunger mid-meal, eat a little bit of everything. And if you want more later, ask the host if you can take a plate home. Those are my 5 tips, but I do have one little more bonus thing because I thought that this would be a great way for you to work through your holiday. So we are going to do a little bit of a visualization. Now, this is another thing I love to do. I am big on meditation. I'm big on journaling, and I'm also really a firm believer in I might be a firm believer in it, but apparently I can't say it. Visualization. So this is going to take a little bit, it's a little exercise and practice that we are going to do together. You can put your notebooks down. I just want you to get comfortable, and we're going to do this together right now. Put your notebooks down and close your eyes, because if you're driving and listening to this, please don't close your eyes. Just obviously think with me, but put the pen and paper down, kind of turn off any background noise that you have if you can, if you're capable of it. And we are going to do this little visualization together. So I want you to just sit comfortably and close your eyes and take a deep breath in and out through your nose. And one more. In through your nose and out through your nose. And we are going to work on putting yourself in the situation of your Thanksgiving meal. So I want you to just imagine that you are there. You're there in the moment. I need you to know, I need you to be very specific, because we are creating a habit within your brain. And when we do this exercise, we're creating emotional feelings and attachments, because these emotional feelings, if you can visualize it, when you're actually there in the moment, you can put your brain back in that place. It is going to trigger the memory of your visualization, and it is going to trigger the feelings and the thoughts that you had. So first and foremost, imagine the room that you're walking into. What does it smell like? What is the first food that you can think that you can smell? Who are the first people that you see? Who do you say hello to first? Are there kids running around? Is anyone laughing? Who are you talking to? What are the conversations that are happening around you? After you hang up your coat and you've said your hellos, are you going to have something to drink? Are you going to have a cocktail? What are you having? You see the appetizer table and you casually walk over. Who is standing there at the appetizer table? Who do you see that you can have a conversation with while you look at what is displayed? What kind of food is there? Are they finger foods? Is there anything on that table that really stands out to you that you want to try? Find your favorite one and take a bite. And how does it taste? Are you enjoying it? Is this a food that happens every year? This certain person, does this person always bring this food to your plate or to your meal? Do you want another one, or are you looking to try something new? Now think that you are seated at your dinner table. Who are you sitting next to? Who cut the turkey? Is the turkey on the table? Was it a family display, or was it done prior? Is there someone specific in the family that says grace before dinner? What does the table setting look like? What are the colors that are around you? What foods do you put on your plate? How do they smell? What does your plate look like? Is it colorful? Now you take your first bite, and what is the very first food that you take? How does it taste? What memories are triggered when you take a bite of that food? What is the next piece of food that you eat? How does that taste? What are the memories that are triggered? What is the conversation that is happening around you? You're going to practice your mindful eating. You've eaten through half of your plate. Are you full, or are you still hungry? Are you satisfied with what you ate? What tasted the best? What about that food tasted the best? What do you love about it? Was it moist? Was it juicy? Was it flavorful? Are you satisfied with the meal that you ate? Do you have pleasure from what you ate? Are you happy? Are you content? Now you can open your eyes, and I want you to really I want you to keep going over that visualization. And those are just, I kind of just wanted to walk you through a little bit. You can take as much time as you want on your own time to go back through that and really get so deep within your answers and within your emotions and your feelings that you're having through that visualization. But the more detail and the more emphasis and focus that you can put on that for yourself, that is the moment that you walk into that family meal on Thursday, your brain is going to immediately think of who was that first person that I saw in my visualization. And you might catch yourself going directly to that person first. And that's just clearly because you are training your brain to attach these emotions and these feelings with the experience. But you can go back through that. And actually, I do want you to do it on your own and come up with as many things as you possibly can. And when you're finished with that, grab your journal, write it down, because there's something about putting pen to paper and really writing it all out that kind of makes it a little bit more real, even better. I can't speak anymore. Last note before I move on to questions, don't punish yourself. I give you these tips just so that you have some tools. Again, there's a lot of work that goes on within these tools, and that's why I give you journal prompts. That's why I give you questions to ask yourself. But even if you put in the work and you do this for yourself and you still feel like on Thursday night that you overate or that you binged or that you had too much, don't punish yourself. Accept that you hit that spot in a diet cycle and move on from it. Because our end goal here is to release the guilt and the shame. And if we do all this work and you dig so deeply within yourself and you can trust in yourself and you still feel guilty, that doesn't mean that you failed. That just means that there's still more work to be done. So please just don't punish yourself. That's the number one thing. And last little thing I want to, while you're doing these journal prompts and you write down your visualization and everything, I want you to create your own little mantra for yourself. That's like 2 to 3 sentences about self-care, self-love. And that's something that when you do find yourself in those guilty modes, you can go back, read that mantra and put it to the test and just repeat it to yourself and know that you are worthy and you can give yourself grace and love and you are worth it. So now I am going to stop the recording